going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? This is another episode of Everyday Heroes. And
You're
guess
listening
what?
to Red
We
Man.
got the original crew this time.
All day, every day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got John J. We got JB Written. And we got real name Witten himself over here. And we're gonna go ahead and get into some topics today. Some discussions, some things like that. But before we get into that, how y'all doing?
Living life and loving life, trying to do the right thing. You know, all that good stuff. We doing good. I'm doing good. What about you, John Jay?
Trying to come up with a plan to make millions. That's about it. That's the plan every day.
Shoot, man,
Shit.
shoot. There ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's me over here. I can't call it. Just taking it step by step like an alcoholic, man. Just day by day over here, man. So let's get into it. We're gonna get into a little discussion here. Because me and John Jay talked about it a little bit over text message and things like that. We thought it was a good idea to kind of bring it up. And this is about the slave ships and the indigenous people and their beliefs and things like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and let John Jay kick it off a little bit on how you feel about the slave ships and the indigenous people and things like that.
And we starting it off like this.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah, we
shit.
got to, man.
Starting it off
So,
He
like
brought it
this.
up. We're gonna have to do it. We're gonna have to
so
do what he
Alright.
got to say. We're gonna pick back.
yeah, I feel like this. Let's just be realistic. So, if we take a cruise ship which has engines powering the cruise ship, and it take what like 3 days or something like that to get to like Cuba or the Bahamas. I ain't never seen it go one day, but I might be wrong. What I'm gonna say is the slave ships. Back in those days, there was no engines. So how the hell do you bring millions of black people from Africa over here with no engines? That mean it had to take at least 6 months just to get over here. And then you got weather, you got the wind. If you using sails, the wind don't blow in the same direction every time it blow. So you got the tide, which way the current is carrying you. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's kind of hard to believe that millions of people came to America on slave ships way back then when we ain't even had the technology back then to even pull something like that off. And another
Why
thing,
not?
because the wind, all right, if you set in your sails, can you predict which way the wind gonna blow at any moment?
They had compasses and all kind of shit out back then.
Right, compass. But that don't mean you're gonna be able to sail in the right direction. This is another thing. All right,
North, south, east, and west. That's what the compass
all
do, right?
right, all right. Listen though,
Mm-hmm.
listen though. Are we having people rowing the ship? Are they rowing the ship, or are we relying on the wheel? I mean, the wind in the sails. You know what I'm saying? What,
Mhm.
what? How are we getting over here? Are they pedaling the boat? We relying on wind. We don't have no engines. So how are we making the boat go? We got current. In the middle of the ocean, the tide is high. You can't predict that it's going the waves gonna flow towards America, right?
Mhm.
And
Well,
then another argument on
uh,
top of that, they said I ain't even gonna say millions because millions on one ship just sounds ridiculous to me.
that does sound ridiculous. I
All
agree with
right,
that.
so even the Titanic didn't have 1 million people on it. You understand? So we gonna say 100,000. If we got 100,000 slaves, and let's say we had 10,000 white people who was racist and was down with making black people slaves in America. You trying to tell me black people are so soft and so weak that 100,000 of them couldn't overtake 10,000 of them? Like, come on, man. We gotta be realistic about this. It's no way with all those things in our favor, which is weather, which is current, which is no technology, meaning no engines. plus 100,000 versus 10,000. You understand what I'm saying? Even if they had guns, let's say they had guns, somebody gonna take one for the team, and then you shoot. And then back then the guns, you had to manually load them bullet by bullet with
Right. They didn't have automatics like that.
right, exactly. So if you shoot me, JB and Winton gonna be on your ass. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just not going for it, man. I'm thinking we were already here. And as far as the indigenous part, obviously, when I think of indigenous, I'm thinking about people who were made on the land, who was first created on the land. And we all know Africa is the motherland. So I mean, I say we were the first people to populate the land. And if you can correlate that with indigenous, then I would agree. But when I think of indigenous, I'm thinking God made you from the earth in that area. Am I
Okay.
wrong?
Uh, yeah, I see what you're getting at. I see what you're getting at, and you do have a point to that. You do have a valid point on that. Let me ask you this: did you celebrate Juneteenth?
Nah, to be honest, I just learned what Juneteenth was like in my late 20s. I don't even know what the hell that is, even right now.
Okay, okay. All right, cool, cool, cool. So, I mean, I can agree with what you're saying, and I see what you're getting at with that. I actually feel the same way. In a sense, I think those slave ships and stuff like that weren't slaves on there. I think those were white people,
Right.
and and um, you know, that's the way I feel about that. So I'm gonna keep that at that. But I definitely do feel like we were already here. The indigenous part I think is more like a catchy thing that people are trying to claim to be nowadays and stuff, like trying to be different. But at the end of the day, I do think that we were already here.
So the only way I can even think that people were indigenous to America is if you're talking about Pangea, when all the continents was one big continent,
Correct, correct.
and we traveled to the American part of the continent,
Yeah.
and then the continent broke apart into the continents we have now. That's the only way I can really say it, indigenous. You understand what I'm saying? And
Right.
another
Well,
thing,
uh-huh.
real quick, as far as planting food and farming and all that type of stuff, you can go to Africa and you can't plant certain herbs that you can in America. And in the South, like Florida, you can't grow an apple tree, and in New York, you can't grow an orange tree. So for whites to come over here and have us teach them how to plant food and harvest and all that stuff, that means we had to be here in order to know how to do those things, right?
Yeah, so go ahead.
All right, man. I think y'all are way off. Okay, y'all are way the heck off. Okay. All right. So
You're not woke, man.
yeah, maybe,
He
maybe,
sleep over
I'm just,
there.
maybe
I
I'm
want to
not.
hear his logic though. I want to hear the
Maybe I'm
logic.
not.
go
All
ahead.
right. All right. Okay. One thing y'all are right about. Yeah, we was here first. Okay. They said the Indians was just here first, and they stole the land from the Indians. They just didn't steal the land from the Indians. They stole the land from Indians and black people.
We
So
are
that's
the
the truth.
Indians.
Okay, we are the Indians, but Indians are us too. You understand? We Chinese, black people are everywhere. We
Right.
originated in everywhere. All
Right.
right. Also, we originated in Africa too. And you have to remember, we were slaves in Africa too. So they wasn't uh just coming over there to you know and just snatching us up. We was slaves over there in Africa, so we was being sold for something, or we was being taught for money. They just knew over here, the white people knew that they didn't need the money, or they didn't need that at the time. Long as they can have the people to work for it, they can go and get their own. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, when they came to Africa, yeah, they put all us on the boat. Some of them promised us land. Some of them promised us this. Some of them promised us that. You know what I'm saying? And some of them was just straight up slaves. So some people was just willing to get on the boat just to have their own piece of land because whatever they had in Africa, it would be better, or they thought it would be better in America. Okay? So that's how they got some people on the boat. Okay, and some people may have realized, hey, this ain't what it is, and they jumped off the boat. Some people didn't never realize and see where it's going to go. But you have to remember, when they brought us over, we was in unfamiliar territory. We didn't know the
Right.
territory. You see what I'm saying? So we didn't know where to run. We didn't know where to hide. We didn't know where to go. So you also have to remember too, all they the people that had those ships, they were sailors. They was from England. They knew how to be in, they was like in the army and stuff like that. They practiced that stuff. Like they
Disagree. Christopher
yeah,
Columbus was a prisoner. They let a whole bunch of prisoners out with diseases and
man,
all
fuck
kind of stuff
Christopher
like that.
Columbus. You talking about Christopher
Exactly,
Columbus?
and they let them come over here.
Yeah, but Christopher Columbus ain't shit. I'm talking about the person who wrote the Bible. Him. King James. People like you gotta look it up. Henry the Second and stuff like that. They was sailors. They was smart. They knew how to maneuver and get across the seas because that's what they did for
They weren't too
a
smart.
living.
They thought the Earth was flat.
Okay, they might have not been right about every fucking thing, but they knew how to go get slaves. They knew how to survive. You see what I'm saying? All right. The next thing. Yes, we was here first, but you have to remember, we are nice, genuine people. Like, I don't know, like black people are the nicest people. We will give those things away. You know what I mean? But at the same time we was giving those things away, they was taking it from us. Okay, so the people that was already here was pretty much getting killed and beat up and and didn't know what was going on, didn't know how to fight back. So I don't know what was going on, that the fact that they could just take over just like that. You know what I'm saying? You got to remember, even in New York and in California, they wasn't free as they was freer than the South, but they wasn't as free until it got to the late 60s and the 50s. But in the 20s, they had businesses, they had things that they had to, that was coming up. So that's why I was just thinking y'all kind of way off, because we was already slaves in Africa too. So you have to remember,
Right.
it
All right.
just
So
wasn't
this what where I think you're off. I'm not
okay.
disputing that people was slaves in Africa. What I'm saying is you got black people everywhere. You got black people in Jamaica, in Europe, in
Mm-hmm.
Alaska, you name it, you got black people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is the same thing with people debating about religion too. It's not that your religion is greater than mine. Your religion has this amount of truth. My religion has this amount of truth. His religion got this amount. And if we was able to come together and put it all together, maybe we might get the full story. It's like a puzzle. So even with black people, yeah, Africans were slaves in Africa, but those same African slaves wasn't the ones in America. Maybe the Africans who was enslaved got with the Europeans who was buying slaves or selling slaves, was like, hey, it's this land over here with all these people, and they're very nice people. Let's go take this land because it's more fruitful. You know what I'm saying? They came over there with a plan and just took it over from us. You know what I'm saying? Because just think about it. That's a lot of people to take from one place to another when you got people already over here, and all we got to do is bring ourselves and go conquer them people. They don't know about weapons. They all they have is spears. You know what I'm saying? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? So let's get 100 deep, 500 deep, 1,000 deep, and let's go take that shit. You know what I'm saying? They probably gonna give it to us anyway. So that's what I'm
Shit.
thinking. I think you're right, but I think it's more simple. I don't think we're. And then how many slave ships was it? Is there a record of how
The
many slave
Well,
ships it
no,
it,
was?
it
there was
started off at one.
well, of course it always start out with one, but go ahead.
Yeah, it started off at one. And then that was like around I think the first one, the first one was called the this Jesus. You know that,
Yeah,
right?
Jesus. Yeah, yeah. I was
Yeah,
just gonna say that. The first one was called
yeah, the
Jesus.
first, the
Yup.
Lubeck of Jesus, or something like that.
Yup.
So, and then after that, they kept making them after a while. But I mean, once they kind of established that trade of what they wanted, I think what we went wrong at was we was trading stuff for people. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? They knew that they didn't need the stuff. So they will make rice and make cotton and do it themselves, and then come to and say, hey, we'll give you cotton, just give us some more people, not
But look,
knowing that's what we needed to keep.
I'm thinking this though. I think you may be right with your thinking, but I think it's a misinterpretation of what it really was. Like
Mm.
right now,
Right.
today, we work for money to buy food. Maybe back then they worked for cotton for something else, or for something else that'll benefit them. Maybe it wasn't really slavery. Maybe it was a dead end, poor ass, minimum wage ass job, and it was what they can do for ends meet. Without that, they'll starve and die. You know what I'm
Who
saying? So
who is
the
we?
Now,
slave, the so-called slaves.
well,
The slave. I'm telling you, black people are genuinely nice people, man. Like we
It
didn't
was a
some.
trade. It
It was
wasn't. It wasn't necessarily a currency or gold or silver.
okay.
It was
Okay,
a
let
trade.
me. Okay,
you. Okay, go ahead, Wayne.
I'm gonna say this. Listening to both of y'all, there you both of y'all have JB. It seems like you believe in history more though
Yeah, that he
than
got that crack
he.
of history in him.
Listen. Hold on. And then it seemed like John Jay believes in his story. He
Okay,
No,
believes,
no, no. I'm gonna say
but
my story because my
well,
story is the
that's what I'm saying.
mystery.
History is his story, meaning the white man's story. So
That's
he
what
believes
JB believe in.
that. So,
I
so
believe in
he
my
hold on, hold
story.
on. Let
exactly believes in the
let's
other story, but
let
besides
let
history.
let's make sense of this, guys. Okay, we all know that we were slaves in Africa. All right. First of all, Jonathan, that's like us being like we the head of Africa right now, and we can trade whatever we want. Okay, we came together and we talked about what we need. We need more clothes. We need more money. We need more of this. We need more of that. And then the other people said, we need people. Okay, we don't need that stuff. If we have more people, we can make more stuff. We can create more stuff. We don't have to do the work ourselves.
Think about what you're saying, bro. I hate to
So,
cut you off, but think about what you're saying. They
okay,
still do that now. The,
they,
the
yeah,
the United States military, they put people in other countries.
yes,
All right, but that's not slavery. That's
it's not.
not slavery.
Okay,
They're
then what's
getting
it
paid
called?
for that.
Okay,
That's involunt. I don't know. That's they volunteering. You signed up for the military. You could tell me better than I could tell you.
okay. So then, are we still slaves then? If that's what we're
That's my
thinking of.
point. My point was slavery really probably never existed.
Okay, so you're saying we voluntarily just wanted to get beaten and wanted to get tortured.
I
Because of
mean,
that,
that
That's
might be
that proves that Joe is
not
Joe,
true.
Joe's nice. That black people are nice, man.
we're just too nice, bro.
All
Like
right, but look,
we don't think. If we was thinking in Africa, we would have known to keep our own black people in our own territory. We'd have kept making it. But instead of just keeping our own self and going to war like we need to do now, because that's the only way for shit to change,
right,
we instead of just going to war, we like, okay, fine, we'll take your money, we'll
right.
take your pearls, we'll take your milk, and you can take our people. Not, we just nice. Oh yeah, we
What you
don't need
saying?
them.
You saying some real shit because blacks were Republicans until the Democrats started getting the welfare.
Exactly.
So you right. I mean, even
It's
with
simple.
Dylan Roof, when Dylan Roof shot up that the 9 people in that church, all the
Hmm.
people were saying, "I forgive you." A day later, I'm like, "What the
Some,
fuck?
some
Ain't
pussy
no
ass
way
shit
I'm."
instead of going to war.
Yeah,
I'm y'all right now, man. Look, somebody killed one of mine. Something going down.
Exactly.
You
Ain't
see,
Especially
no
if it's
forgiving.
it ain't
especially if
no
it's a
forgiving.
race, especially if it's a race soldier
Exactly.
or a white cop or whatever. I don't care.
Let me
I'm
say
coming after their
this.
family.
Right,
I'm
for
already the
sure.
felon 4 times, so
We've
it
been
is
in
what it
we've
is.
been we've been in slavery because slavery is real because of ourselves. We just forgiving everybody.
But
We
I
forgiving
think
this, forgiving that. You know what
I'm
I'm
kind of
saying?
thinking slavery ain't uh, a color thing no more. And
Oh, no.
I think history is one sided. You know, back in the day, they say whoever won the war can distort the history in their favor. And I think that's kind of what's going on because
Exactly.
if you think about it, you hear about all the bad shit, all the beatings, all the uh, stuff that happened to black people, but you never hear the side when black people had a revolution. You hear about your boy Nat Turner, and you hear about a couple more. Like I think about two more. I forgot their names though. But other than that, you don't hear about shit. All you hear about is black people getting bombed, black people getting hung, babies getting fed to alligators. That's all you hear. And then the only real proof of that stuff that we really see is in the 60s and the 50s when it was whites only and all that type of stuff. And they was actually lynching and hanging people.
Okay,
So,
I got a question now.
okay, go ahead.
So you thinking they put that history in the history books to control our mind other than it's real?
Yes, and I think the
Yes,
same
Mm.
thing.
yes,
I think the same thing with the
yes.
Bible too, because if you
Oh
really
yeah,
study the Bible, all that knowledge derives from something in earlier years, like
right.
Mesopotamia, Egypt, and
Yep.
stuff like that. So you know what I'm saying? Why couldn't they um put their stamp on the history of slavery to make us look that much smaller, that much weaker, that more inferior? Because their whole all right, that's their whole thing to make themselves seem like the most superior people.
Of
So
course.
however they can do that
Uh huh.
to make however they can do that, they will basically. And they're doing it with no proof. Where's the fucking proof? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Hmm.
So
The
Right.
proof is in where the people can say, "Hey, my grandmother did this. My grandfather did this." I know when my grandfather
Okay,
was
but
growing up, he was a police officer, but he wasn't allowed to arrest white people. You see what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure they can remember times where their parents was going through stuff.
all right,
That's
so if
well,
y'all
here's the
talk to
thing.
y'all,
You ever played the game? You ever played the game where you lined up 20 people in elementary school or maybe middle school, and then you whisper
yep,
something to that one person ear, and when they get
yep,
all the way to that 20th person ear,
it's totally
you know it's
different.
totally different.
Yep,
hmm
Yeah, you have a point, but at the end of the day, generation to generation to generation to generation, that stuff fades out, and the story is mis
right.
is misconstrued.
Have
It's
I got a
not right.
question for y'all. Have y'all ever spoken to y'all grandparents, like sat down and had a adult type conversation with your grandparents and
No,
asked them who their mother was and who their
no.
grandparents? Well, I have. Talked to my mom, I talked to my grandma, I talked to whoever living because I don't have any grandparents no more. But I talked to my uncles, aunties, and from what I heard, all my people was Indian. I got pictures of
Same
my
here.
grandma. She looked full
Same here.
Indian on my. All right, so how many people you know, black people you know that their grandparents was a slave? Oh, my grandparents came from this plant. I don't never hear black people really talking like that in real life. All I hear is the movies
Yeah.
and see the look. That's all I really hear in the
Yeah.
documentaries and shit. We
Listen,
don't really see them
I,
people.
I'm not.
Let's start wrapping it up and get into our final thoughts. So I'm gonna let you go, JB.
I'm not going to sit there and take away from our ancestors and say slavery didn't happen because the things they went through was terrible. But what I am going to say is we have to definitely get out of that mindset of they are in control. We have to definitely get out of that mindset of the American dream is just living something in a lifestyle because we have to start going after the stuff we want. The American dream, if we live in America, is to take something or to get it by any means. You know what I mean? And to get it by any means is keeping our people up and keeping the other side down. I'm not saying I'm racist. I'm not saying be prejudiced, but I am saying as black people, we need to start sticking up for each other. I am saying we need to start putting our money into businesses and
I
black
only buy black
homes.
owned clothes now. I started that
Yeah.
this year. All I wear is
So
black owned.
it all comes back to just we need to stop being forgiving. You know what I'm saying? Stop being pushovers. You know what I mean? We wait until years later to say damn. And that's what white people do. They wait until years later to praise Martin Luther King. They wait until years later to praise Malcolm X. They wait until years later because they know
White
that
people
shit
don't
over
praise
with.
Malcolm X.
Yeah. So it's time to start when shit happen right now. You know what I'm saying? We wait until like that's like somebody killed my family. I wait 10 years to say something. No, we waiting too long. We being raped and we being pushed over too long. It's time to start saying something now because if we keep waiting, that's what's gonna happen. And we all gotta come together with that shit because like when Colin Kaepernick took that knee, nobody in the NFL took that knee with him. Few few people sprinkled in here and there took that knee with him. But nobody, and that shit is over with now. It took what 1 year, a year and a half for them to hush us up. That's
Right,
what happened. Now that shit in the history books. That's how history happened.
right.
All right, all right. You want me to go, John Jay, or
It don't matter if you want to go, you go. Or I
I'll
can.
go, man. I'll
All
go
right.
real quick, man. I'll let you cap it off. All right, so I'm gonna just leave y'all with some jewels. I don't really got too much more to say about this. Um, with that being said, uh, guys, look up Devil's Punch Bowl if you have not looked that up. If you don't know what the Devil's Punch Bowl is, it's basically a place in Nash, I think it's like Natchez, Mississippi or something like that, where when the slaves got free, 20,000 free slaves got forced into a concentration camp over there, and they let them starve, die, and all that stuff. Let them starve, didn't feed them or anything. Um, then peach trees grew out of that. Peach trees grew out of that. So nobody wants to eat from it, because they think it's poisonous or whatever, which it could be something wrong with the peaches and stuff, because it grew out of that. But definitely go look that up and wake your eyes up and understand that this stuff is real. It's very real. Another thing, and this is something that JB could probably appreciate more than Jonathan, because me and him watch battle rap. But the story was that how battle rap actually started was they were called the Dozens. That's what it was called back in the day. And when they came on the slave ships, they came in the dozens, shackled in dozens. And whoever was the ugliest or whoever was the most deformed, they make fun of that person. They go back and forth. So that's how that originated um, within us. At the end of the day, you know, this is some very real stuff, and that's pretty much all I got to say about that. Go ahead, man.
I don't want to take away from slavery. Well, I want to take everything away from slavery, to be honest, because fuck slavery. Black people didn't start with slavery. You know what I'm saying? We way more powerful people than slavery. Black history don't start with slavery. We had a history before slavery,
Of
and that's what
course.
we need to be focused on. And then
Yep.
they telling all this stuff about slavery, but don't have no damn proof or no backup for what they're saying. And then they want to tell us to get over it. All right, they don't want to give us reparations. Okay, I accept not taking reparations, but tell me my original language. Tell me what my culture was. Tell me my roots in Africa that you took from me that we don't know in America. At least give us that type of history. You know what I'm saying? Let us know who our forefathers was. Let us know who the slave master was who owned us, and let us know how our parents or ancestors got on that plantation. We want to be able to trace our roots back to the very beginning. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't I'm not a person, I never have been the person to fall for anything. I might not know it all. I might not be the smartest person, but I ain't the dumbest. And a person just can't tell me anything and I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna go look and I'm gonna ask questions. So, with that being said, people, let's stop going off what history books say. We always saying white people this and white people that. But soon as white people give us some shit, we just automatically thinking it's good. You understand what I'm saying? So that's all I gotta say about that.
All right, so that's very true, man. That's very true. Yeah, tell me, you guys know what hue means? HUE,
Color?
color.
Yeah,
So hue, man, right? We're the original man
exactly.
of color.
All right, so let
So
me this my theory. Real quick. I'm sorry if I cut you off.
go ahead.
So you remember when they so-called say the man landed on the moon, right?
Right.
What he said, one step for man and one step for mankind. I think he knew what he was saying when he's saying that. I think the black man is the man and everything else mankind. I don't think they one and the same. But that's
Yep.
just my little theory.
No, and that's what exactly what I was gonna get at. We are the ultimate man,
Right.
and that's what they know that we're stronger, faster, and more powerful than them,
And that's why
and
they
they're
use
scared.
money.
Yep.
They
They.
use money to cover their power. That's why they want to own everything and have
Yep.
all the money because that signifies their power. Because without it, they're nothing to us. So they need a shield to like their shining armor. That's what their shining armor is: money and real estate, property, and resources that we don't have. But even with that, they're still mad. That's why they still fucking with us. Right?
That's a fact, man. But yeah, man, we can go on all day about this, man. We really can. And you guys gonna probably start requesting the part two and stuff like that. But guess what? You ain't getting it. I'm just kidding. Anyway, man. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to check us out. We just got a Facebook page posted up. Logos coming soon. Just like our Facebook page, Everyday Heroes. Look it up. And then you
You're
can go ahead
listening
and
to
follow us on that. All
Heroz.
right.